thank you for joining us in another interesting, authentic conversation. This time, we have someone special and different. We think you're going to like her. She is a woman in STEM. She has an amazing part in leading key technologies that change companies entirely. She has led many initiatives, including hackathon. She's been a volunteer across many organizations, leading the way that women perform in the tech industry. Ladies and gentlemen, join me today to say welcome Anne Martine Augustin. Anne Martine is a cloud application architect at Amazon Web Services. She is also a software engineer, and this is not all. Anne Martine is also a wife. She is also a mother. So navigating all components of society as a woman is something that you would like to listen to how she balances her lives to make sure that every aspect meets people's expectations. Take a seat, relax, and enjoy our next guest, which is Anne Martine Augustin. Martine, welcome to the Embrace podcast. Your work at the intersection of cloud technology, community impact, and inclusive innovation really resonates with the mission of Embrace, creating spaces where empowerment, belonging, resilience, and excellence are not just ideals, but lived experience. Before we dive into your story, I'd like to begin with a grounding moment. When you think about your path, what is one value, memory, or belief that anchors you?
First of all, thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure to have this conversation with you today. And for me, when I think of a grounding moment, it's really go back to the memory of seeing my mom and the way she carried herself. She was a very strong woman and infused into us a can-do attitude. I can still today have very vivid memories of her telling us, oh, there is no limit to where we can go, what we can do, and who we can become. And even if she's no longer with us for a long time now and she hasn't seen a lot of the paths I have taken since then, but she's still a very central and a core of who I am today and the values I cherish.
Thank you, Martin, for sharing this. I think that's a very interesting story, demonstrating women are the core pillars of society. I'm very glad to hear that your mom has been the cornerstone of your whole path, and she has inspired you to be the woman that you are today, even though she hasn't had some time to see much of this woman now. But I believe your mom, if she was still alive, she would have been extremely proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Now, we're going to move on to our core dialogue in terms of your career, your path, and especially given that you are excelling in an environment or a field that is not very embraced by women, which is STEM, let alone women in the minority community. So we're going to learn about your story, and we're going to ask you some questions about how you've empowered yourself, how you've taken some time to rest, and also how you've created a sense of belonging for yourself and those who may have been working with you. So the first questions I'm going to ask you, Martin, is, yes, you've built an inspiring path in cloud technology at Amazon Web Services, but every journey has a beginning, right? What first sparked your interest in tech and what encouraged you to pursue it seriously?
For me, it's really kind of like a funny story because I started in tech by accident. Back in Haiti, when I finished high school, there was like some preparation program you can take to prepare the state university exam. And then I joined one of those and I was planning to go into law. There's like a law and economics school in Haiti, and there is a science faculty where students do engineering school. And then at the beginning of that program, they put all of us together. And every single instructor that walked into that room was so impressed by me. They were like, you're going to the science faculty, congratulations. They were very excited. And I didn't correct them. At the middle of the program, they were, okay, now everyone that's going to the law school, you need to move. And then the ones that's going to the science faculty, you can stay in that home. I was so embarrassed. I didn't say that I was not planning on attending the science faculty. So I was like, okay, I'll just stay, do the classes, take the exam, and then just go to the law school. Nobody will even know that I never intended to
Mm.
join. So that's how I take the exam, pass it, and then some friends convince me to join and stay at the science faculty. And then later I choose the tech track because it was then very popular and then very like promising. Most of us were choosing that option. So I
Mm.
just did it. Now, what really kept me into it, and then when I look back, why I still find that was a very good decision is the possibility of solving problem. I'm someone
Mm.
that really enjoy looking at something very challenging and find solution for it. And being in the tech industry really give you that. The other thing also is always involving. You have new things
Mm.
to learn. I never feel like I'm an expert. You always have new things to learn. That keep me very motivated and
Mm.
it's an enjoyable place for me.
This is incredible. And the reason I'm saying it's incredible, I worked with you for a long time and I never knew that story. I've always seen you as a woman who was so interested in tech and so inspiring. Today I'm learning that was never your first choice in the
No,
first
it
place.
was no, that wasn't my path or story.
That is fascinating because when I look at the career that you've built around tech, it comes across that that has always been your passion, the thing that you've always wanted to do. And I think that says a lot about the kind of woman that you are. It's interesting.
It was mostly a challenge. Like people say this is hard, so I can do it. That's what get me into it.
That is interesting. And I like the fact you say you didn't want to embarrass yourself.
I was like, yeah, no, I'm staying. I'm not gonna go. They were like, oh, you were lying this whole time. So I was like, no, I will just stay and pretend.
It's like fake it till you make it. And
Yeah,
God, you've made it. So
that's a good example. Yeah.
that is a fantastic example. And I think, what were the people, for instance, or experiences that opened doors for you following that decision?
I mean, there were so many teachers because when I was at the science faculty, I had very good encouragement and support from the professors. Even my first internship, I got it from one person that were teaching there. Then my first role as well after graduating was from a professor teaching at the faculty. So I had a lot of support and opportunities, conferences, references that people gave to me. And of course, I was part of the Haitian Education and Leadership Program, which is a scholarship program back in Haiti that has a lot of leadership and community aspect to it that it opens my mind to. Later on, I received the Fulbright scholarship, which is the State Department scholarship to come here and do a master degree. So for me, it's a lot of small, big steps that contribute to, an even bigger career today, but a lot of people have contributed to it.
Yeah, I think the Haitian Education and Leadership Program, this is a program that empowers young talented Haitian, and they've empowered their student to make that sort of choice and give them that sense of community and open more doors for them. When you think about empowerment, what moment made you feel, I belong here in this space?
Actually, I would say this is not even back in Haiti because when you're in Haiti, especially at the science faculty, you kind of feel entitled, basically. You made it, you had good grades. Then when I came here in the US doing my master's, of course, you have the same sense, I can do it, even it's hard. I have done hard things before. That's not a problem. But after I graduate, I was like, I want to work here, see the scale, the way the people operate here before I go back to Haiti. So after school, I was looking to find internship, work, and it was so hard. That's when I started doubting myself. I'm like, no, maybe I'm not as good as I think, and I don't belong here, or kind of all the thoughts you can have when you're really applying, getting maybe some few interviews, rejections all along. So when I got the role after the interview and all the process, I was like, Yeah, I think it's a validation, like a tap in the back of, yes, you belong here. You have the opportunity to continue to grow.
I think what you just mentioned here, Martin, in terms of how the sense of belonging that you have in your home country may differ to the sense of belonging that you have when you migrate to another country. Gosh, that can shake your confidence. And I've gone through that process as well. And the interview process that you've gone through in the US may have been by far too intimidating as compared to the interview process you would have gone to Haiti. Because first, the market is bigger, isn't it?
Hmm.
And the competition is also larger because it's not only Anne Martine looking for this opportunity, you are also competing with some other Ivy League students. So it will shake your confidence. But again, you've proven yourself that you can do it. So I think it's part of who you are as a person. And you've consistently demonstrated that no matter the challenges, if you put your mind to it, it can happen. So I think that's a very interesting message for the Embrace community. Would you say that's something that resonates with you?
Yeah, absolutely. Looking back, it's easier to say because when you're going through it, it's very hard. You doubt yourself. But sometimes deep inside, I always had that voice that you can do it, but it's not always clear. If someone is going through rough time now, keep that moving slowly, even you're not seeing the end of it yet. Because looking back, you will learn the lessons from the rough path you had to go through.
I agree with you. There is a light at the end of the tunnel, so keep going. Even if anything is not that clear, keep going, and one day you'll see the light. So that's very inspiring. Thanks, Martin, for sharing that. Now, I think one of the key things that we may have touched on earlier during a conversation regarding representation of women in the tech industry, especially in STEM, more importantly, women from the minority community. When I've gone through your profile, your career, and I had a chance to work with you, you deeply committed to increasing representation in the tech industry. What experiences shaped that passion for you?
So for me, it was a given, something I had to do because going through the science faculty, we were like four women and maybe a class of 60 or more. So we kind of knew already that we were a minority. Then when I moved here in the US, it's also add a layer, as you said, because now you are a Black woman in the tech industry, which is an intersectionality that you have to consider. For me, the motivation is two things. The first one is exposure because if you didn't know about what's happening or the path you can take, you will not take it. So when I try to reach out, I'm trying to do that exposure so people know what's out there and what's possible. And then the second thing is back to the confidence and representation we talk about. When you see someone that have walked that path, either because it's a Black woman, we share some story experiences, or immigration because I studied in Haiti and then come here and there's a lot of aspect of my path and my story that can inspire someone else. That's why I do it. Kind of give them the example. You can do that, and there are people that are walking those paths.
That is beautifully put, Martin. And I like the fact that you say your experience back in Haiti, where you were four women amongst 56-ish men. It was some sort of call for you to say, yeah, we need to make sure that more women get into that room, more women are inspired to join the tech industry. And you've also touched on something that's interesting when you say you've utilized, the part of other people who may look like you. And I think that's where representation matters, because if you didn't see people who look like you who are pursuing tech, it would have been a bit challenging and say, probably people like me do not need to do tech, that we cannot do tech. But when you see another person who look like you in the tech industry, I said, if they can do it, I can do it as well. And I can become a light for some other Black women as well. So when they see me, they know that they can do it as well. So I think the explanation that you've given is aligned the empowerment bit of Embrace. So as a Black woman, you've empowered yourself not only to excel in what you're doing, but also to inspire other Black women or other people from the minority community to join the tech industry. So that's very empowering and powerful, Martin. I think one other question I would like to ask is about inclusive innovation. So when you look back on your journey, how would you define inclusive innovation?
Yeah, so for me, inclusive innovation is first, like the products do attain or fit for a wide range of people and abilities. So we took those into account when we built them. For example, couple months ago, I was volunteering with the City of Houston and Impact Hub Houston for a hackathon. It's called like Houston Hackathon, and seeing normal people bringing problems and solution to them and trying to implement that solution was a good representation of what inclusive innovation means. It's not just tech people thinking about how they can solve problem, but it's bringing everyone, whatever the background is, together to get solution that can really solve challenging problem we face as a society.
You seem to have a lot of experience in hackathon because I remember back in Haiti, you also led an hackathon that was a massive success. And I do echo what you say regarding inclusive innovation. It's not only about a set of engineers or programmers coming together and then design a product. It's actually a lot of people from different sector, different industries coming together and say, how can we make this work for most of the people who will be utilizing this product? So if we move on to inclusion in action for you, can you share a moment when you saw belonging in action, either given to you or created by you?
As you said before, I work for AWS and we have a Black Employee Network here at AWS. 2 years ago, I was contacted by someone and that person was like, I'm going out for a while. Would you step in and help? And of course, I said yes. Fortunately, she left before I was introduced to the rest of the board. And I reached to someone else and she didn't know me at all. And I just tell her that that person, I had a conversation with her and this is what she said. And she was like, I got you. She pulled
Wow.
me in, share everything. And now I have been with the board for 2 years in that
Wow.
role. And I have seen that person kind of be open. You know, sometimes when people manage the type of group, they can
Mm-hmm.
develop a sense of exclusivity and
Mm.
not necessarily do the mission they have to do. But this group and that person was very inclusive. And I've seen her and others in the group pull everyone like,
Mm.
we have things for you to support us. If you want to do it, this is where you can support us. It has been very inspiring, and this is one of the biggest community I'm part of as an employee today.
This is one of the key example where inclusive employment is important. Amazon having this community where different people can gather and work on something that will have like more impact on the community that Amazon serve and also on the employees. Can you share more about the impact of that group if this is something that you can share with the audience?
That is a very big part of my experience as an employee, especially
Mm.
I worked virtually for a while, so I didn't go to the office as often. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes when you do, you can feel isolated. But this group, they have very big impact on the relationship between employees,
Mm.
building networking connection, and then back also to the community. For example, we had a big conference last month in Houston, which is Afrotech.
Mm.
They work with the employee network to get people to be exposed to the conference, to tech in general, even if you're not in tech. Then they also have community events where we work with students. We had a project where we bring students from third to 12th grade and show them some technology as well, just expose them, as we said, to tech. So I would say the two key pillars: helping the employee that are already there find a place, a belonging place, so they can feel that they are part of something, and also go back outward and support the community the best we can.
No, this is very interesting. And where I'm working as well, they do have something similar. They call it employee resources resource group. So you do have different communities, for instance, the Black communities. A job can be fulfilling, but for me, and I think this is something that could resonate with you as well, Martin. I am a trained engineer, have been in sustainability. I get paid to do sustainability, but the most fulfilling part of my job is when I feel like I'm having an impact on the community that I serve.
My, I like, are you me? That's exactly how I feel. That's exactly how I feel. Like, you see, even I'm making good money, but it doesn't fulfill me. Just go and do whatever. I have to know what I'm building. Why am I building it? What is the impact? So I
So no,
totally resonate with that.
I agree. One key things that I like to share with my colleagues is say, how did you end up in sustainability? I said, the main reason why I chose sustainability is because it's above a job. I'm doing something that is changing other people's life without them even knowing it. When you mention things about how you're having the impact on the community, especially the underrepresented communities, globally, that's something more people like you would need to focus on to make sure that the underrepresented communities have a voice and they have more opportunities as well. Again, this is part of the empowerment pillar of Embrace, how we want to make sure that we use successful stories like yours, Martin, to inspire other people to join the tech industry, sustainability, or any other guests we've had on the podcast. So thanks for sharing that. You are in a position where you need to demonstrate leadership, resilience, and also belonging. Now, I know the tech is a word that is constantly changing. How have you built resilience, both technically and personally, in such a demanding field?
So for me, it's kind of like coming to a very good sense of what I know, what I am interested in getting deeper into, and what I do not know. And I've been confident and comfortable with that. I know I'm not going to be an expert in everything. And when you bring something to me that is new, I can assess it and be, okay, this part I know what to do. I know where to find the information. This part you need to bring someone else that can give you that answer. Also, continuously learning. You never stop. You don't get complacent on where you are and be open minded. Like,
Yeah.
be curious and see new things come in, try them, implement them, see how they can help you in a daily basis.
I like what you say about being open minded, because often when we've proven ourselves that we can do it, we can make it can make us complacent. But for you, it's more about the continual improvement journey, understanding your limit, right? You don't know everything. You're not an expert in everything, but you also know that there is also some aspect of your work that you know very well. You're just open to the opportunities to learn from other people and embrace their opinion and their perspectives as well. So that's very interesting. When you have this sort of perspective in terms of how you approach work or how you collaborate with people, clearly it is safe to say that not everybody will have your best interests. Have there been moments where you felt unseen or underestimated? And how did you rise through those moments?
Yes, I have. And I work as a consultant. So I'm not on a project that is determinate. So I change team all the time. And in that space, it's hard because each time you join a team, you have to prove yourself. For example, if you have been in a team for a while, you have proven yourself, they can trust you more. But when you join and you're new, you kind of need to prove yourself so they can trust you. I'm continuously building trust and I accepted at Amazon we are a data driving company. So I give you the data supporting why I'm recommending this, but also I'm open. You don't have to accept what I'm saying. This is the proposition. You have your idea. We can get an agreement until that trust is built and they trust you more and they let you do more on the project. So that's how I approach it.
That is very interesting. I think you've touched on two things. The first one is the fact that you're a consultant, you have to rotate teams from time to time. And that's quite hard because it seems like every time you need to start over with a new team. And I believe the second thing that you've mentioned is about trust. The reason I'm saying this is very interesting, I have one of my coaches, she mentioned the dynamic of trust. And she said some relationships, for instance, especially in the professional area, you start with a trust credit. But in your case, you don't necessarily have that constant trust credit because
Yep.
you keep changing. Your credit keep going back to
Yeah.
zero every time,
Yeah.
and you have to prove yourself. And you have to be resilient to understand that it's not their fault if they don't trust you, because
Exactly.
obviously you're new to the team. So you've got to earn that trust. If you've been moving or rotating from one team to another, it's because you have proven yourself all those times. Even if you haven't managed to build enough credit with one team, but the credit you've built before joining that team is also following you.
Exactly. You put in it so well, because even yourself as well, you kind of know that phase, and accept it because you know you have done it so many times. You have to divide between you not accepting my proposition because it's bad, or because you don't trust me yet. You're in
Yes.
that space and you
Yes.
accept it, work through it, and at some point you will come along, basically, based on your work records.
I like how you summarize it. You've built that trust yourself. So you've got to a place where we're welcomed to an agreement. So it's all okay. You've given yourself that credit as well to know that you can overcome this. So that's very interesting. Now we're going to move on to the excellence and innovation bit, especially your work at Amazon Web Services. As a cloud application architect, you're shaping solutions that power entire organizations. What innovation excites you most right now?
So right now, like the new most exciting thing, it's generative AI for us. It's already impacting the way we deliver, the way we work every day. I know a lot of people are also impacted by it just in their day to day. So business want to see the value being delivered. A lot of people have been exploring, but now we are focusing more on what are the values that are being delivered from the generative AI projects and initiatives. So I'm very excited both on what it can do for us, tech consultant as developers, but also the business.
Interesting. Let's say that we have someone who is listening to the podcast and is a citizen lambda. They don't know what generative AI is. What would be the simplest definition you could give them about generative AI?
So for now, it's a part of artificial intelligence. And if you don't know generative AI, you might not know artificial intelligence. The way I can see it simpler, it's a technology that is helping people create, generate more, basically,
Yep.
in different industries. So people are using it for content, reviewing what they write, reviewing emails. For us, like tech, we're already a little bit a step ahead. They're using it for application generation, kind of you building something and it's helping you with generating the code, designing the code, reviewing your design. And yeah,
Okay.
it's very interesting.
So would you say something like ChatGPT is generative AI?
Of course. And that's one
Yeah.
of a lot of people use. And there's more. If you go to Google, there's like an AI mode. A lot of people would do search with Google. So if you just
Yes.
search something in Google, you can go to an AI mode and ask follow-up questions.
Yeah.
That is also generative AI.
Hopefully, people listening to this podcast understand now whenever they use a system to generate information or improve something that they're doing, that can be classified as generative AI.
Yeah,
Right?
that's something they can explore as well, or it can make that simpler, easier for them. And I would say for those that are actually in tech and know a little bit about generative AI already, they should start looking into agents because it's like, kind of a step above, not just doing content and stuff like that, like looking at agents, which is like kind of the new thing we are exploring now.
That is interesting. Thanks, Martin. Now, I know you're working in a field where the bar keeps rising, which can put a lot of pressure on your wellness and wholeness. So we're going to move on to the breathe pillar of embrace. Behind professional excellence, in your own life, what helps you stay grounded and well?
So for me, it's really about balancing and creating space for myself. I'm also a wife and a mother. I have a daughter. She's a little bit older now where I can kind of brave When she
Mm,
was younger, it was harder because you have to do everything for her.
mm,
But now, for example, doing bedtime routine, of
mm.
course, once you pass the operational part of it, the brush teeth and fighting for bath time and stuff like that, and you get to cozy up with her and read a book, it's helped me remember the core of everything you do and why you're doing it.
Interesting. So, Martin, you are a leader, excellent leader. You're also a wife, a mother. So, three things that society tend to sell as challenging to navigate, especially
Mhm.
for women. Are there daily or weekly practices that help you reset and stay focused?
Oh, it's not perfect, but encouraged by my husband, actually, I have started doing the steps. Like I walk almost every day, not always, and try to reach 10,000 steps per day. I haven't been doing very well lately. It's cold in Houston and it's hard to get out, but
Mm,
it's just kind of, going in the morning. I try before starting to work, just go for a walk, listening to a book, and
yes.
then we set a little bit.
That is interesting because the steps are very important, especially for your health. And I can relate to that. For instance, I go to the gym 3 days a week, especially on a Monday morning. That's a non-negotiable. I need to go to the gym. It set the scene for the whole week.
Mhm.
After, I feel I am a lot more prepared and balanced, like you say, to face the whole week and the challenges that will come with it, as you could anticipate. That's very interesting. You are making sure on a daily basis that you are achieving your steps, which is 10,000 steps, and you're also
Mhm.
doing it with your husband.
No, I'm not doing it with him. But it's the one that kind of like, encouraged me to do it because
Encourage
he
you.
started it. But it does it as well.
Different schedule. I get you.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. And I was telling him like he usually get a lot of steps by default
Mm,
because
mm.
he goes to the office. So he kind of like walk
Okay.
from his
Yeah.
parking lot to his office so he can get some step. And for me, I'm mostly home all day, so I need to
Mm.
walk a little bit more to reach the goal.
Yes. Yes. That makes a lot of sense. And thanks for clarifying. Now, I think this actually leads us to my question regarding how people in the tech industry can at least do something similar to yourself, Martin. How can leaders, especially in the tech, create cultures where well-being is prioritized, not optional?
I think a very good way to do that, I have heard it a lot and I've seen it, it's by example. Like you
Mm,
need as a leader to set the example. If you
mm,
have your kid graduation and you at work, people
mm,
are gonna be afraid to tell you that they have something to attend for their school. Kind of creating the culture. For my organization, we have a good example.
mm.
Yesterday was something they call well-being day, and they give us one day every quarter that's called well-being day. And
Wow.
you can do whatever you want. You can do certification. It can be, work related. You study for certification. You do some project you want to work on, explore some technologies you're interested in. But it also
Mm,
can be completely on-work related, like do a spa day and go for a walk with a book.
wow.
And yeah, they give you the flexibility to do it. It's really a good demonstration that we care about
Mm.
your well-being and prioritizing your well-being.
That is very interesting when you say our leaders should lead by examples and set the scene. I think this actually materializes the company policy saying your well being is important to us, but clearly it's so important to us. You have one day to do whatever pleases you and that balances your well being. So that's interesting. And we're going to move on to your inspiration and what you would leave for the audience today. Throughout your path from Haiti to Houston, what is one lessons that has stayed with you?
I think one of the lessons, because when I started, I think I was very rigid in the way I think. Like
Mm,
this should be done like this. And then as I grew up and evolved, I leaned a little bit more into the listening aspect
mm,
of it and understand, like developing more empathy and understanding that not everyone has walked the same paths, processed things the same way. and understand the world the same way. So see people the way they react and give them more grace. Before I was more rigid and right and wrong.
That is thought provoking. I do like how you say it. Give people the benefit of the doubt. Because they didn't walk in your shoes, they may not understand what you're going through. Not everybody has the same experience. Not everybody can see things from the same lenses. Give people that grace and allow them to be themselves as well. Because I think that goes back to allow people for being who they are. Allow people for expressing their thoughts respectfully, because that's also important. From your perspective, it's more about there is no right or wrong perspective.
Sometimes I would still be like, no, that's wrong. I'm not saying I'm never, saying it, but try to understand and see from where they're coming from, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, that is interesting. Martin, you have a myriad of experiences working with different companies and people. So you've seen how different people think in different situations. It's very powerful. Again, the most important thing here is understand that not everybody has walked in your shoes. That's a very interesting quote. I'm going to steal that from you. Martine, your journey is such a powerful illustration of what it means to rise with purpose and lead with integrity, because I can see that coming through our conversation. Before we close, what message would you like to leave with listeners, especially young professionals, women, and anyone standing at the edge of possibility?
I would say stay curious and then work on your skills because that's, something you will take with you whenever you go and whatever you do. The second thing is build your community. It's very important. Whether it's your family, close friends, people you can rely on different aspects in your life, professional mentor that can help you grow, guide you, surround you with people that can help you grow, see your flaws, and also your strength because they need to celebrate you.
Short and sweet. Martine, it's like the Kiss theory. You keep it short, simple, but very powerful at the same time. If I can summarize, you would advise them to stay curious and relying on their community to build on their successes, their strengths, but also enhancing their flaws. My mom liked to say we are not perfect, but we are perfectible.
Yeah.
That's my mom.
And one thing I would like to add to that is I really encourage, especially women, to lean into the strength. Sometimes we tend to focus on our weakness and try to solve them or be better at them. I believe for me, you need to lean and lead from your strength because that's where you're going to have the best impact. You know and aware of your weakness. You work on the ones you think will make your strength shine better, but do not let your strength on the side and focus on getting better on the weakness. It was important to say that because I believe when you start leaning and leading from your strength, that's where you get the best impact because this is who you are in a sense.
That's interesting, Martin. You mentioned that, and I do agree with you. I believe what you said here aligns with what Sheryl Sandberg from Facebook. She did mention that women, we need to learn more about how to lean in, like using our strength and build on our weaknesses. And trust ourselves more to do things because most of the time we focus a lot on the weaknesses.
Exactly. That's why I said that. And I got it exactly from an executive as well from Amazon. And she was explaining how she was always complaining. That was a mentor that could patronize and be, no, lead with your strength. And this is where I can get you with my strength. And this is what or who I need because I'm not good there. So that's a very good example.
I think women need to hear that more from other women as well and understand we're not perfect, like my mom and like Martin would say, but we are perfectible. And how we perfectible is by leaning on our strength and building on our weaknesses. That was an incredible conversation with you, Martin. Thank you for sharing your truth, your wisdom, and your vision with us today. Your story embodies empowerment, belonging, and resilience and excellence, the very pillars of Embrace. I like how your story starts from willing to become a lawyer and transitioning to the tech industry. That resonated with your last words regarding leaning on your strengths. You didn't give up. You've already committed to joining the tech industry. And here you are now working at one of the best companies worldwide, which is Amazon. Your story is one in a kind that will inspire a lot of women in the world to lean in on the strength, to trust themselves more, and to believe that they can do it, they can make it. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. I am Daphning Pierre, and thank you for listening to this episode of Embrace Podcast today. Stay tuned for our next conversation, and until then, continue showing up with intention, courage, and grace. Tin, it was lovely to have you today. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.